Hello, ladies, gentlemen, variations thereupon. I'm AJ Sacher, and this is something new. I've been talking a lot about all the content I'm working on, and this is one of those things, which I'll talk about it more at the end, but for now you should know there's both a video version and an audio-only version, so you can consume this in the way that's most appealing to you. Also, I had some trouble in recording. The software I was using, well, that I was going to use, stopped cooperating with Skype at the least convenient time, so I just brought up OBS and recorded with that, which means I didn't have any of the settings prepared, which is why instead of having like a normal conversation with two normal-sized human beings, I'm like tiny in the corner, and it's a little glitchy. You'll see, but it's not a huge deal. Just wanted to, explain that. And the last thing I want to say before I let this roll is massive apologies for how freaking long this took me to get out there. I wanted the turnaround of this to be like 2 days, and instead it ended up being like over 2 weeks. And, I have all the excuses in the world. My life has been kind of crazy. There's been a lot of stuff going on. On top of all that, got really sick, like strep throat, sinus stuff. You can probably still hear I'm not 100% quite yet, but I really wanted to apologize, most especially to Adam, who was so cool and so kind to come record this with me, and then I just like fell off the face of the earth and never published it. So I'm really sorry, Adam, and I'm really sorry to the viewers or listeners that this took so long, and I'll talk to you more on the other side. So yeah, enjoy. Hello, everybody. I am AJ Sacher, and I'm here with Adam Ezegelian, aka Poofy.
Yeah.
Which is the most appropriate nickname I've ever heard in my life. Is there an origin story, or is it just, have you just been
well, it started actually at my local game store.
Okay.
I came in, I was like 13 or 14, and
looking
nobody
like
really
this.
knew my name, so...
Sure. It all comes around. All right. So, speaking of game store, you're a Northeast guy, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Long Island, New York.
Very cool. And you have been playing for quite a while, it seems.
Yeah, probably like 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
At least like competitively, or as competitive as I am.
Sure, as competitive as Lobber Crew gets.
Right.
All right. And you recently had quite an interesting life experience, making a very deep run in the American Idol system.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, if you want to look at it one way, I top aided.
Right.
For the guys at least.
That's a pretty big game, right? That's
so
what
that's
counts.
good.
That's what counts for Hall of Fame, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, that's good.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did that come about? I mean, let's start from the beginning. What's your background in music? How did you get into singing in the first place?
Well, I started in like middle school, high school, doing the school play, musicals and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's all pretty much the experience I had going into American Idol. The only time I had really sang like rock and roll stuff, like the stuff I did on the show, was like right before the show. Me and my family were on a vacation in Disney World, and they have a thing called the American Idol Experience, or at least they used to. It's not even there anymore.
Okay, and this is I've heard of this. This is the live band karaoke, basically, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
They bring in people from the park to audition in the beginning of the day, and then later on they put you into like a mock show that the audience votes on, and then if you win that show, then you go to finale show at the end of the day, and the finale winner gets this golden ticket. So you don't have to wait in line for the real American Idol.
Which lets you tour Willy Wonka's factory, of course.
Right. You bring one guest.
Yes.
You get your family out of the the bed that they've been living for
Yeah,
years.
your bedridden grandpa. Yes. So you actually did the American Idol experience into American Idol. That's like satelliting into a poker tournament, or more appropriately, winning a PTQ.
Right.
Basically, you spiked a PTQ,
Yeah.
and then made a deep run in the Pro Tour.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So no, you say you didn't do any rock stuff before, but like I said, I watched all the videos and I followed your run which, coming from me, that's, I didn't watch American Idol when everyone watched American Idol, but a magician is making a deep run. You gotta show some support. And you rocked it. I mean, you went hardcore, like old school rock and roll.
Uh-huh.
Your background's in drama. What is it? Just your personal music taste, or what triggered that for you?
Well, as many of the people my age, I'm like 21, did when they were younger, was played Guitar Hero and that kind of thing. And that really turned me on to like that classic rock stuff.
I am noticing now, pretty much all of your tracks appeared in Guitar Heroes 1 through 3.
Yeah, either that or Rock of Ages.
Right.
It's pretty much a combination of those. And then the first song I did in Detroit was "I Wanna Rock" by Twisted Sister.
Yep.
And that was classic. That I first heard in SpongeBob, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. So that was good. So as you can see, I have a deep,
very diversified background.
Yes. So that was definitely, I'm not the typical American Idol contestant for sure.
Absolutely not. Which I think it was helped you at least a little. Was endearing to some members of the audience. It makes it hard to win.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's good to put together a deep run, and that you did. So what is your one more music question? What's your personal taste? Like, what do you listen to like on the reg?
Well, a lot of the time I'll listen to like theater scores and stuff like that.
Okay, so you are still a drama kid at heart.
Yeah. I have a really weird list for Pandora stations. It's like the first one is like Les Miserables.
Yeah.
And then the next one will be like classic rock of the 80s.
Yeah.
And like the next one will be like Weird Al Yankovic. So definitely some weird ones going down. But I've always loved Tenacious D, and I've been compared to Jack Black.
I was actually gonna say, how do you feel about the Jack Black comparisons? Because that's the first video. I don't remember which one it was, but the first video I heard, I was like, this is like School of Rock remake. Like, we need to do this now. Because your stage presence, and then the vocal riffs when you hit that upper range, very similar stylistically.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely a compliment. I love Jack.
Huge! He's great. He's great. I'm glad that you take it as a compliment. Is there some influence there, or is it you just doing your own thing, and it's what's the deal?
I definitely say I'm not trying to copy or anything like that.
No, of course.
A lot of the earlier like rock type of classic rock music that is the earliest I've heard is from Tenacious D and that kind of thing. And so definitely I have some influence from that style.
It shows, and it works. It's. Because even if you're getting your influence from him, his influences are the people that you're singing their songs.
Right.
So it all comes full circle,
Stones, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, back to Magic. You said you've been playing for about 6 years. What was like your first set? What was your first standard deck?
Well, I started out in... Let's see. I started out right at the end of Zendikar, like when it was leaving Standard.
Okay.
And so it was like Scars, that kind of block. What was that, M11, I want to say?
Yeah. So you hit like the Jund Standard?
No, it was after that. It was like right when Zendikar was leaving.
Okay,
so... Zendikar block. So like right at the end of Rise of Eldrazi.
Okay.
So I really...
So this is like blue-white control,
Like
And
the Eldrazi ramp deck
yeah,
with what's it called? Summoning Trap and that kind of thing.
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So right at the end of that, I remember I would be really frustrated with the like mono black. You had like Duress and Distress and Despise, like all of those with like Gatekeeper, Malakir, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So I remember being frustrated by that.
Yes.
While I was playing the my first deck that I brought to F&M was Royal Assassin Gideon's Lawkeeper combo.
Oh wow.
Oh
That's old school.
Yes, sir.
That's some like Royal Assassin Icy Manipulator is arguably the first combo in Magic. So that's rocking it old school.
Yes, sir.
So you kind of, much like your music and everything else, you march to the beat of your own drum.
Right. Yeah, definitely would say I'm more of like a brew kind of guy.
Right, but very much in the context of like competitive or fringe competitive.
Right.
But you're doing your own thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So you probably haven't had much time to play with all this other stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, recently I haven't really. I'm trying to get back, as I've been back a couple days now.
Okay.
And I've been talking to my friends about what they think about Dragons of Tarkir, the new set coming out.
Yep.
And what's surprising is a lot of my friends are trying to figure out stuff for the Invitational coming up.
Richmond in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And it's interesting because I would assume some of them would have their kind of standard decks now that the whole set's been spoiled.
Right.
And people are still like, I don't really know what I'm going to play.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the standard environment was already in a place where like you could play a lot of different decks and it wasn't clear what the best path was.
Right, right.
And then there's a new set that's only been out, released for like 3 days now,
right,
as of recording. So, yeah, it's definitely very much up in the air for a lot of people. What are you looking at? Are you trying to break standard, or are you kind of just trying to help your friends?
Well, I definitely say I'm on the break standard side.
All right.
But, I've been doing that for a while, and it's only worked a couple of times.
Yeah.
So right now I'm in, like a Sultai Court of Calling deck.
Okay.
And it has a lot. It's more like a toolbox kind of thing. But one of the cool interactions I've noticed is all the devotion decks, like the green-white devotion deck that I just recently have been introduced to, with Mastery of the Unseen, that kind of thing. Everybody's trying to go either really big or really wide.
Right.
And nobody's really trying to go under with like a mono red or anything like that.
Right.
So, if you can just lock up the board, it seems like it's easier to control with like a creature mid-range kind of thing than with something like blue-black.
Right.
A couple of my friends were trying a blue-black kind of thing, and the removal and counter spells don't really match up very well. You're playing like 4 dissolve and that's it.
Yeah. Well, the creatures are just so much better than the spells.
Yeah.
Like at this point, and that's a design and development thing. Like they're doing that on purpose,
Right. Right.
But that really does drive the on-board type of play, which I guess Cord is good at. Making sure that you're on top of that. What are like? First of all, what colors are we looking at? So we know.
So we're definitely looking at Sultai.
Okay.
Black green, and you're mostly like a green-black base splashing blue.
Okay.
But you have things like Hornet's Nest that you can lock up the board.
Yeah.
A lot of decks just can't attack through a Hornet's Nest.
That is true.
Red-white, like you pretty much have to chain it, or it starts getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because all your other removals burn. So that's always good. And then Ruthless Ripper, a card that hasn't seen a lot of standard play, as you might have guessed.
Yeah.
It just having something with Death Touch is also kind of a problem.
How often do you morph it? Not
I've morphed it a couple.
You have?
By unmorphing it. So that's pretty sweet, and you can't really interact with that.
Right.
So that's pretty funny. But having cheaper ways to interact with the board makes Chord not so clunky,
Right.
which is nice. But one of the major draws I've seen, and what was really sweet before Fate Reforged, was a lot of the people are playing like kind of Devotion or Blue White Red, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And one of the win conditions that was like a backdoor win condition was having Prophet of Crucifix in the deck, just to make sure that it's not too clunky.
Okay.
Because if you can, let's say they play like their Rabble Master, or they play their Hordling Outburst, or they're like Jam Ascendancy, that kind of thing.
Right.
And you can catch them where you can play a Prophet. If you get to untap, since all of your spells are and your creatures are like really high impact,
Right.
As they go to deal with your Prophet, you can land something else.
Right.
And then
It
they have to
becomes
deal with that.
really hard to play against you.
Right, right. And if you could just play 2 spells in a turn, since your spells are so much better on average,
Right.
they cost more, you can really kind of get the ball rolling.
Right. Yeah,
And
it's Prophet. Like Prophet itself isn't worth a full card in 5 mana, but Prophet plus anything is worth more than 2 cards and 5 mana.
Right, right.
That's an interesting approach to things.
Yeah, so it's been really sweet, and the last kind of icing on the cake with a lot of these Devotion decks is they don't kill you very quickly. It's more of like a kind of either now with the Mastery, it's more of like a swarm kind of thing.
Yeah, enter the Grindhouse.
Yep, yep. And,
let's play for 20 turns where you can't win anymore type of Grindhouse.
And so what seems to be happening is people go churn through their deck, and they go to these ridiculously high life totals.
Yeah.
So what's the one thing that they can't protect is their deck.
Their library, yeah.
Right. So one of the major win conditions of this deck was Phenax, God of Deception.
Wow.
And when you're playing things like Sylvan Caryatid, you're playing Corsair Crucifix, you have a lot of high toughness creatures.
Right.
So Phenax becomes more like a Jace Memory Adept, where they're dead in like 2 or 3 turns.
Prophet too? You're
Plus
doubling
Prophet.
up? Oh,
They get pretty much a 1-turn clock.
And you can chord for it?
Right.
Wow. I'm liking
it's
this.
Enchantment for your Doomwake, which is nice. Also,
Okay.
Doomwake seems to be underplayed a little bit also, which
It's interesting.
it seems really good right now, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely the type of card that, like, is perfect with a chord package. Reclamation Sage is another, like, great utility card that's, like...
does double duty in the deck.
Yeah, it's like, kind of hard to play in your main deck, because all of your cards need to be so high impact, but when you have chords, to play, like, 1 or 2 Sages has such huge upside in so many matchups.
And one of the cool things, your main condition outside of Phenax, win condition outside of Phenax is usually, like, a Hornet Queen, or something along those lines. Or Silumgar is, another nice chord target. But what's cool is I have 2 Clever Impersonator in there.
That's the clone from...
Yeah, 4 mana for clone target non-land permanent.
Right.
And so things get out of control with things like Elspeth, Ugin, copying your Doomwake, copying your Hornet Queen. Like, just... having a clone in there has been really good, and even if you're just casting it, not just chording for it, it's been really sweet. So,
yeah, I mean, again, we're talking high impact only, and so are you ramping? You probably have Caryatids and Coursers.
Yeah. Also 4 Elvish Mystic.
Okay, you are mysticking also.
Yeah. It just it hurts because you have to bring, you have 8 mana dorks now.
Right.
So drawing them in the late games kind of sucks.
Yeah, well, that's where this high impact thing comes in. If over half your deck is mana, and you have 8 semi-bricks in the late game, your spells really need to make up a lot of slack.
Definitely, and with the addition of Tassigear, it really helps as well. Because now you have a way to kind of build a card advantage outside of just your coursers and stuff.
Right.
So that's been really good. But one of the cool things with Phenax, and you might say, oh, well, if you draw them early, then that, it sucks because that's like a dead card pretty much. What are you going to do with their Phenax on turn 5?
Right.
But what's a cool interaction is a lot of people are playing Corsair Crucifix. And being able to see what's on top of their library, you can gauge what they draw every turn.
Right, manipulate their...
Right.
That's
So
pretty
you know,
cute.
you say, all right, there's a sweet spell on top that they want,
Can
or
you
let's say a Nykthos or something.
Right.
Mill them for 1 with an Elvish Mystic, or mill them for 3 with your Sylvan Caryatid, and then they end up drawing a land. And then if there's a land on top in their draw step, you can mill them again.
Right. I'm looking at Phoenix right now because I want to see if you can mill yourself, and you can.
You can.
So you can even fuel your own delve stuff a little bit.
Your own draws.
And manipulate your own coursers. Yeah. That's very cool. I'm a big fan of the courser manipulation. Anytime, I mean, that card, when you have like fetches and temples and stuff, the selection you get on top of the value is just. I mean, there's a reason that Courser Caryatid is like the cornerstone of every format that it's a part of.
For sure.
I'm thinking of dragons now and how it impacts this shell. The problem I'm seeing is the utility things in dragons that would theoretically be good. Say the Den Mother, whatever that card's called.
Yeah, the Eternal Witness.
Yeah, the Eternal Witness, right? Yeah. Eternal Witness would be oh my god, how amazing would Eternal Witness be in this deck? But you can't court it up because it's Megamorph to get the important part. Have you looked at dragons at all to see what you'll be including, if anything, and
well,
how to incorporate that?
I haven't looked too deep into the creatures, but I know Ultimate Price is probably a very good removal spell. A lot of the times, Hero's Downfall. Right now, it's like 2 Hero's Downfall, 2 Bile Blight, and a Sultai Charm.
Okay.
And I think Ultimate Price would probably take the spot of Downfall, just because a lot of the smaller creatures, there's not a lot of the bigger multicolor creatures that you have to worry about. It's more like like Fleecebane Lion, Rakshasa Death Dealer, those kind of low to the ground, cheap, efficient threats.
Yeah.
Which Bile Blight kind of handles. One of my friends was like, "Well, are you going to replace Bile Blight with Ultimate Price?" And I feel like Bile Blight holds too much utility to replace it.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of tokens running around. There's a lot of like Rabble Masters and Seeker of the Ways and stuff that you really just want.
Yeah, but Planeswalkers, you can usually attack down Planeswalkers,
right?
Or copy them and in turn kill them with themselves, which is pretty fun.
I'm like looking at the visual spoiler because now I'm thinking every time toolboxes just get me all hot and bothered. And Chord has been, I mean, when Chord was in Standard the first time, it was massive. Like, it was a huge part of the metagame. And there were decks at that Nationals that I played. That JSS Nationals was my first and only JSS tournament, and the most popular deck, or like the deck with the most momentum coming into that tournament, was the Lightning Angel Momentary Blink deck. And like the night before the tournament, people were like, "Hey, instead of all this red stuff, we could just play like green and chords and like blinks with the toolbox is just insane." And that deck was like the deck of the tournament. So now I'm seeing Chord reprinted and nobody's playing it.
Yeah.
So now that you're playing it, now that I know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you looking at the top end? Or do you have like Soul of Black?
Innistrad. I had one in the board.
Okay.
For more your
the Grindhouse, yeah.
I was actually playing an earlier iteration had Yisan the Wandering Bard.
Which one's that?
That's like the 3-mana pseudo birthing pod.
Okay, yeah.
3 guy.
Yeah.
You go find a 1 and then a 2. And
yeah.
And with Reed Duke played like a green-blue devotion kind of deck with Kior's Follower and Yisan and Prophet.
Yep.
See,
borrowing from that shell a little, maybe.
Right.
Trying it out at least.
But Yisan was really cool, and at the time we didn't have a great selection of 6-drops.
Right.
So I was playing Soul of Ravnica, which is the blue one, and with
that draws cards for like your color of permanence?
Amount of color permanence, yeah.
Oh my god, these cards
and
are
so
such a headache.
It's like 7 mana to do or whatever.
Yeah, it's just infinite draw.
There's like a 6 mana 6/6 flyer.
Right.
And with Prophet of Kruvik, sometimes you could be like, all right, I'll draw cards on my turn.
Yeah,
and
you
then
go
like,
off.
play a guy, that kind of thing.
Right.
Excuse me.
Well, it seems like there are more efficient ways to do that nowadays.
Yeah. Now you have things like Silumgar and Tassagir.
Right. a little more efficient, I would say. The other card that is like popping into my head is the we're talking about chord and toolboxy things. Is the 4-mana instant find 2 small creatures? Have you looked at that card at all? That seems like a Brewers type of card.
It's definitely interesting. When I first read it, I thought it was any amount of creatures that are 3 or less.
So you just have all
like,
your
this
whole deck.
card's sweet.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about it with Grave Purge. They just reprinted.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool. You could put like a top end threat above 2 smaller threats, and then draw the top end threat, and then play your 4-mana thing and get 2 little guys back.
For sure.
It's kind of interesting. Another deck that I was looking at was like the black-white warrior thing with Underworld Coinsmith.
Okay.
Which seems really cool. I don't know how practical it is, and I really just want to find a reason to play Harsh Sustenance in Standard, but...
Well, there was a black-white Constellation deck at a recent SCG that did well. I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. But yeah, it used Coinsmith to some pretty good effect.
Yeah.
It's one of those cards that seems powerful, but then you look at it in context. Like, if that card was printed like 5 years ago, it would blow people's minds, but nowadays it's just so outclassed.
Definitely.
Like, it's a little before your time, but when I was starting in Standard, Hand in Hand and, like, Ghosts was a deck, and it was, like, Promise of Boonry and then Tuco Husk was, like, the combo, and you had, like, main deck Kami of Ancient Laws, and I'm just imagining these, like, crappy black-white Grizzly Bear decks.
Right,
and
right.
What they would do to get their hands on some of the bears that we just, like, throw away. We're just like, no, this is not playable. They would lose their minds if they had access to this stuff. We are so spoiled. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask more about this toolbox because I'm just obsessed with it. I assume you have a bunch of Whisperwood elementals, since that's like the most powerful thing you could be doing, right?
Well, the problem is with Whisperwood, if you have anything with Enter the Battlefield effects,
manifest, you lose it.
Yeah. So instead, you have things like Doomwake Giant,
okay,
and Farika.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I can go grab the deck.
I would love that.
All right, let me go grab it.
Excellent.
All right, so we said Hornet's Nest already.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Clever Impersonator has definitely been really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Farika, Ruthless Ripper, Tassagir, whatever. Oh, Nylea's Disciple.
This is the 2GG3/3 that gains life for your Devotion to Green.
Yeah.
Alright, just a concession to the red decks and stabilization.
Sometimes
you need some life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, also, some of the red cards, like the aggressive red cards and the dragon spoilers, are scary. Like,
I could definitely see some kind of mono red.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Patrick Sullivan is just drooling, I'm sure. It's like multiple powerful 1 and 2 drops in red. It's all like I don't look at the spoilers like as they come in. I look at once the full spoiler is out, I look at the full spoiler, because I think that without context, a Magic card is meaningless,
Sure.
Exactly like what we were talking about earlier. I mean, Coinsmith, what is a Coinsmith in isolation?
Yeah.
But sometimes some spoilers will like sneak through to my Facebook feed or my Twitter feed, and pretty much every one that has snuck through to my eyeballs has been either a planeswalker or a powerful cheap red card.
Yeah.
Like To the point where the first thing I did when I looked at the spoilers, instead of I always look at the mana base first because I think that sets the tone for a lot of what's possible. I looked at the red cards first because I was like, it's time to light some people on fire,
Yeah.
So Disciple makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and then one of the last things we talked about, Silumgar. What is the rest of his name? The Drifting Death.
The Drifting Death. Yes, I was going to ask. Silumgar, Tasker, 2 Chains, or OG style.
Definitely the original.
Okay, yeah, that one seems pretty good.
He's just like really good when your opponent plays an Elspeth, and then you're like, well, I don't care about your Elspeth.
Yeah.
Because they can't minus to kill it. They can't.
Yeah,
it at all.
It's basically designed to match up perfectly against the card Elspeth Sun's Champion.
Yeah. And one of the last ones that is interesting is playing one Rakshasa's Death Dealer.
Okay.
As a toolbox target, just having
a flash blocker that can grow and regen, and yeah, a resilient threat.
All you really need with the deck is time.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to turn infinite, you'll win every time with Fennex. So having something that regenerates is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
While in the late game, he could single-handedly take down your opponent if they don't really have anything.
Yeah, just repeatable fireball.
Right.
And then you have some. Your core is Caryatids, Coursers, Sages. How many Sages?
Just one.
Just one?
It could be more. Now, it seems that the new standard is probably going to have a lot of enchantments.
Well, Mastery, having a breakout weekend
for sure
2 weekends ago is definitely an indication. But, I mean, one with chords. You have three or four chords?
Three chords.
All right.
Yeah, you don't really, you never really want to draw 2 unless you get to turn, a million.
At which point, you'll draw 2.
Right.
All right, sounds
2
good.
in your opener is usually a disaster.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Elvish Mystic, Caryatid, and Courser is your main base.
Right.
And then you have 3 Prophet Acrufix.
3, wow.
Yeah. You definitely want to see one every game, and what's cool, since all of your threats are so high impact, that you can kind of choose your spot with Prophet.
Right. It's a lot easier to take the hit of the potential blowout factor when you're it's high risk, high reward, basically.
Right.
In your deck, which
for sure
is definitely a legitimate thing to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then sideboard. I mean, when you have a toolbox, your sideboard options must just be outrageous.
So I was looking at a bunch of sideboard, and since Standard we've lost a lot of Enter the Battlefield effects. I think with Restoration Angel and Thragtusk, we got a little scared about the words Enter the Battlefield.
Yeah, rightfully so.
You don't really have a lot of extra toolbox.
Okay.
It becomes more of selecting where your removal wants to be and what your primary threats are. So I have a couple of Nissas in the board. Just for any kind of control strategy.
Okay.
Because it usually is insane, especially against something like Ugin, where your tokens can't be touched, which is pretty sweet.
Right.
I have a couple of Kioras in the board, which have been surprisingly good against any kind of heroic strategy.
Yep.
You have to spend your protection spell on the ability, or your guy isn't going to do any damage. So that's good.
And then still waste an attack, and
right. So it definitely is pretty sweet there, and with your acceleration to play it on turn 3 is pretty awesome also.
Oh, for sure.
And 1 Soul of Innistrad.
Okay, the Grindhouse.
Yeah. A couple of Disdainful Strokes.
Sure.
Something anywhere where they're being too proactive for your you can pretty much lock up the ground pretty easily.
Right.
But if they go Phoenix, Ash Cloud Phoenix into something like Stormbreath Dragon, it starts to get out of hand.
Right.
So you definitely want to have some kind of way to interact outside of your removal.
Right.
So having something like Disdainful Stroke is nice, especially if you have Prophet or something along those lines, or a removal spell and a stroke.
Right. anytime that you can double up with this deck seems like it's just gravy.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely being able to play 2 spells, since all of your spells are usually high impact.
Yeah, exactly.
You can break ahead pretty easily.
Yeah.
Other than that, I haven't looked too far. I'm sure we want some amount of Drown in Sorrow.
Yeah, some sort of cheap removal,
really
and
an extra Reclamation Sage.
Yeah, another Sage, maybe even another Disciple seems pretty natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems awesome. I'm excited. I want to play this deck now.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I make a deck like that's really crazy out of the box, it's always going to be a lot of fun, no matter if it's good.
Sure. it'll be somewhere around playable,
right?
But definitely fun.
I took this deck to a couple of PTQs and PPTQs.
Yeah.
And there was like a win and in-loss here, that kind of thing, and I top-aided a PPTQ. I lost in the finals there, but
brutal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the deck is strong. You really have to have some good matchups, I think.
What are you trying to avoid? What?
Pretty much anything that plays Mantis Rider is a pain.
Okay, so like really tempo-y,
right.
Like duck and dive, like aggro decks are probably. I mean, if you're playing big green idiots and they're playing like hasters and counter spells, it doesn't seem good for you.
Right.
That makes sense.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, your best matchups are usually the devotion strategies.
Okay.
Because they can't really get out fast enough, and most of them just try to focus on the ground.
Right.
With the exception of like a Hornet Queen here or there, but usually their Hornet Queen's just worse than yours.
Yeah.
Do things like Clever Impersonator and Doomwake Giant to really punish them for investing in the Hornet Queen.
Yeah, and they don't. I mean, they try and go like big, unless they have a really explosive draw. Like the Nykthos interactions aren't really the best. Like you're poised pretty well against.
Sure.
Big mana strategies.
Yeah, if they're trying to like rely on things like an early Pelucranos into like even what's his name Whisperwood is not like a huge issue.
Right.
Because you could lock one Hornet's Nest pretty much locks up the ground.
Right.
In the devotion strategy,
And then Phoenix just like kills in 2 turns.
Yeah.
That seems sweet.
Yes, I was looking at this other deck right before I left for F&M. I was like, I need I need like a really fun F&M before I go.
Right.
So
this is like a few weeks ago.
It was probably like a month ago.
A month ago, yeah.
Month and a half, something like that. And I'm known for playing an excessive amount of colors.
Okay.
I actually, the most successful like brew that I had was I did a deck tech with Ruben Bressler.
I was gonna ask about this. I was waiting until we were done with the this Sultai deck because I wanted to talk to its conclusion. But I was gonna ask about this because when I saw your name, something clicked. Like I was like, I've seen that name before, but I don't have a photographic memory.
Right.
And then I saw a picture of you, and literally all that like appeared before me, burned into my head, like over your face, was an image of a Lobber Crew.
Yep.
And then, sure enough, Ruben Bressler posted the interview, and I was like, "Yep, that's how I know this kid." So what? Please continue. I interrupted you, but what's the story behind this Lobber Crew deck?
Yeah. So it was right in the middle of like Avacyn Restored into what was it?
Return to Ravnica. Yeah.
And so I think I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if it's Brad Nelson was originally the one that came up with like the Peddler combo.
Yeah, he was definitely a big proponent of it. Yeah,
but sure. So it's with Izzet Staticaster and Nightshade Peddler. When you soul bond Nightshade Peddler to Izzet Staticaster, you have a little machine gun.
Yeah, it's
So,
the Basilisk Collar, Cunning Spark Mage, or Goblin Sharpshooter type of, yeah. Just Visara Infinite.
So, we were looking at this type of deck, and it was right before a PTQ. I don't remember where it was, but it was a standard PTQ, and my friend was like, "You should play a deck like this." And I was like, "Oh, well, the combo's sweet and stuff, but I don't, blah blah blah." And so,
okay, deck... so I'm gonna pause you. So your friend is like, "Here is a clunky 4-color combo deck that the combo doesn't even necessarily win the game. I know, Adam."
Yeah.
Would be interesting. Okay. Okay.
So
I'm getting an image of your play group and who you are in it.
Yep. Definitely the guy to go with this list would be me.
Okay.
So we were looking at it and we were like, it'd be cool if we played Domri. Domri Raid, the Flames in it.
At this point, Domri is like borderline unplayable.
Right.
This is like before the green-red deck. Monsters deck was developed.
Ryan Kibler with we're gonna play 4 Hell Riders and 4 Dragons and
yeah.
That
was like the only deck that used Domri at this point.
Right. So we're like, okay, we're gonna use Domri. So we're brewing this list at literally 2 o'clock in the morning before the PTQ.
Perfect.
And we're like,
when the best decks are made.
Of course.
Yes.
And so we're fooling around with that. It was like, oh man, this is sweet, blah blah blah. And I'm like, guys, we need to play Ralzeric. Now, this is a planeswalker that has not seen a lot of constructive play.
Yeah.
And it was right when it was early when he was printed, and so we're like, guys, this Ralzeric, this guy's insane. You can untap your is it Staticaster, ramps you one, all these things. So we played at the PTQ, and what was great about it was a Staticaster was actually a good Magic card in the standard metagame at that point because of Reanimator, the junk Reanimator monster that was just Lingering Souls and all that kind of thing. So
it had elves, multiple elves in it, and And then the aggro decks of the format had not only a bunch of X1s, but also a bunch of 2Xs that the Staticaster would just block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a good card at the time, which is
absolutely
100% why the deck was actually playable.
Right.
Because if you didn't have your combo,
you could still play Magic.
It was actually a good card.
Yes.
And with things like Olivia Voldaren, with Nightshade Peddler, Nightshade Peddler wasn't the worst card ever without his Staticaster.
You're just building all your machine guns.
Right. So we brought it to the PTQ, and I was the only one playing it, of course.
You built. Your friends were like, "Yeah, totally. Let's build this deck together." And then they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play blue-white or whatever."
So I played it. Round 1, I played against. I remember it was red-white, but it had 4 Spark Troopers in it.
Okay.
And I was like, well, this card is not going to be very good against my Staticaster. So
right.
Round 1 was very good. Then round 2, I played against Reanimator, and the deck did what it did. It had all the tools to beat Reanimator, so that's why it was a playable deck.
Right.
So we got down to later. I ended up losing my winning in. It's the story of my life at this point is lose my winning in.
And you're on the fringe in every regard. Yeah.
And so, one of the rounds I played against Aristocrats.
Okay.
It's Mark II or something along those lines.
This is pretty early in the life cycle of Aristocrats, right?
Yeah. I think this was the second iteration. It was right after Tom Martell.
Yeah, after the Pro Tour, but before the deck got really streamlined and aggressive.
Yeah, with Herald. It was before that.
Yeah.
But you still had your deal 13 to everything spell.
Yes.
And so I lost a game 3 to that. And he was like, dude, this deck is insane.
He beat you and then is like, I'm going to play your deck.
Because at that point I had mulled to 5, and it was Farseek into turn 3 Olivia into untap Nightshade Peddler.
Yeah, still a very close game for 5 cards.
It was really sweet, and he ended up having the. I wish I could. What is it What's that? What's the deal 13?
Harvest Pyre on Boros Reckoner? Or the Blasphemous Act?
Blasphemous Act.
Blasphemous Act, yeah.
Yeah, so he did that on like turn 6 or something, and I died. But whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was like, dude, this deck's awesome. And then later my friend said that that guy ended up going on to win the PTQ, and he said that he was like he had like top baited a previous Pro Tour or something along those lines, blah, blah, blah.
Sure, yeah, a ringer.
Right. So I was like, all right, well, maybe this deck's actually good.
Yeah, I mulled to 5 and still barely lost against
Right.
a Pro Tour player who ended up winning the tournament.
Right.
The deck's probably legit. Yeah.
And it was just the 2 a.m. brew that we put together the night before.
Oh yeah, totally untested, unstreamlined. If you put, an hour into it, you could probably make something of it.
So, we all decided, we were going to the SCG Open in Somerset, New Jersey, which is like the closest SCG that we usually get on Long Island. Right. It's like an hour away. And it was the first time that Voice was hitting Standard. So Journey to Nyx was just printed.
Okay.
And
I was actually there this weekend. I remember this.
Yeah, so everybody was hyped on Voice and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I played it. I played Bant Flash, basically, like Advent of the Worm up top. Yep.
Yeah, so, and this was the first time that Rouse Eric was printed. So I was like, all right, Rouse Eric's great for this deck, like, all these interactions, whatever. So we pretty much took that, and then again at 2 a.m., we have a couple of slots open.
I'm sensing
what are we going to play? At this point, we're 4 colors. It's similar to, like, Jund Splash Blue.
Right.
For Izzet Staticaster and Rouse Eric. And the new card...
Two very normal Magic cards.
Yeah. That you'd slap in any Jund deck.
Yeah.
And, the best card that we got out of Journey to Nyx, which we didn't really know was going to be that good until afterwards, was Turnburn.
Yes.
The split card. It turned the frog on one side and a shock on the other.
Yes. The very frustratingly named Turn and Burn,
right?
Not Burn and Turn.
Right. So it was definitely a card that people were like, all right, this could be cool as like a 1 or 2 of in like a blue-white-red kind of thing.
Yeah, go with Snapcaster, blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
like it kills Thragtusk cleanly for 5 mana, that kind of thing. But what
it trades with Thragtusk at only mana parity down 5 life.
Right.
And everyone was like, finally, something! Something for Thragtusk, yeah.
But what people didn't realize is this was probably the best card in the deck. Because with Staticaster, it's immediately a 2-for-1.
Yes.
With very little work on your part.
Yes.
If you have a Staticaster, it becomes a 2-for-1 automatically.
Yes.
So it was really sweet, and in combination with Huntmaster as well, you can flip your Huntmaster, target a guy, turn the guy that you targeted, and then like burn something else. It becomes ridiculous the amount of things you can do with this card.
Yeah.
Another card that was insane in the deck was Evil Twin. Which of course didn't see a lot of play as well.
This is the clever impersonator of its time.
Right.
I'm sensing more patterns.
Yep, blue-black, 2 colorless. You can copy a creature, and then for 2 colorless and tap your Evil Twin, you can kill a creature.
Kill the good twin.
Right.
Kill the non-mustachioed partner.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And
another very normal card to be splashing in your Jund decks.
Of course, yeah. But, this, it ended up being really good, and what's sweet is a lot of people had started catching on to how the triggers work if I play Huntmaster and you play Huntmaster.
Yes.
Right? So non-active player, or active player, non-active player.
Yeah,
so,
the old app-nap hooks.
Right. So your Huntmaster, if you were the second player to play it, you got the benefits of killing... the person that played the first one. But what was really sweet was nobody had understood the Evil Twin Huntmaster interaction.
Okay.
So it was really funny. I was playing in a PTQ, and I copy my opponent's Huntmaster with an Evil Twin.
Right.
And he goes, okay. And then he untaps, draws a card. He's like, all right, pass the turn.
Pass the flip.
Right. So he's
You're
like, all right,
trigger
well, you're active player, I'm non-active player, so mine's going to flip first, so kill your guy. I'm like, whoa.
Blue Mage has fast effects.
Yeah. So on the stack, there's 2 separate triggers. There's a transform trigger, and then there's a deal 2 damage.
Yes.
So with the transform trigger on the stack, his guy's still named Huntmaster of the Fells. So
Yes.
you can kill it, which is sweet.
Yes.
So I was playing the Evil Twin in the deck. And so at 2 in the morning, we're like, all right, what are we going to play? So we needed a way to gain card advantage. So we're like, all right, perfect card, Garrick Primal Hunter. That'll be good. In our 4-color deck.
Yeah, the 2GGG Garrick. Yes.
Wonderful Planeswalker allows you to draw cards based on the creature of the highest power you control. So that's we got to have 2 of those in there. And the only thing that gave us a little validation in playing this Planeswalker was that Reed Duke was playing Jund at the time, and we both had the same number of green sources in our deck.
And
so
he was playing it,
able to cast it.
Yep.
So it should be fine.
Yep.
So we played 2 of those, and I'm like, all right, look, we need another 3-drop, right? We can go like Farseek into like tapped land, play a 3-drop. We gotta like have another 3-drop.
Yeah, the curve filler. And so obviously you turn to
Lava Crew.
The standard staple.
The All-Star himself.
All-Star Lava Crew. Well, you see, with the Staticaster Knight Peddler combos going off, you could just cut out the middleman, give your Lava Crew Death Touch, and kill the opponent.
Right, just hit him for 1.
Yeah.
That's Death
In
Touch.
Death Touch, you're dead. I win.
It touched you.
Yeah, it clearly touched you.
Yep.
You're dead.
So yeah, Lava Crew, I had played it. All right, here's some justification for you. I had played it in a blue-white-red like burn deck.
Okay.
Geist of St. Traft and Boros Charm. It was like the Lucky Charms deck with Boros Reckoner. You could go to infinite life.
Yeah, yeah.
But with Lava Crew, I mean, all your spells are multicolored, so it's like a Lava Axe for 3 mana.
Well, it's like a War Leader's Helix, right? Because it blocks and buys time to draw more cards that also burn for 1 extra.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
with
absurd.
you. I'm with
Turns
you.
Boros Charm into a Lava Axe. Like, why wouldn't you want that card?
Yeah.
So I was playing that at a game day, and I won the game day with these Lava Crews. Like that. That's the card you got to play, Lava Crew.
Did you do a little like?
I did not. Usually my opponent was just too baffled, so any kind of cute stuff would just be wasted.
It would be lost in the mist.
And what was really funny, round 1, I was able to play a turn 3 Lava Crew. My opponent looks at it. It's like, okay. And that Lava Crew did like 11 damage because he didn't want to spend like an Oblivion Ring on a Lava Crew.
Right. The shame factor.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
For sure. So, I had all these things, and amongst all of that, I had Sire of Insanity, which was a new card that came out.
Yes.
And I thought it was going to be a really good card in like multiple decks.
It ended up
Seems
being
like a really good card in Jund, but
right. It ended up being a bit of a niche
player. Yeah,
player.
it never really picked up.
I think a big part of that was Rakdos' return still existed.
Sure.
And like, why mind twist us when I could mind twist you?
Yeah.
You know?
With a fireball on the
end. With a fireball instead of a body that can be killed. Yeah, I think that competition, it's a sort of Psychotog Shadow Mage Infiltrator thing, like, Parallel Universe would have been a really good card, but competition was too high.
Especially with people catching on to, like, War Leader's Helix at the time.
Yeah. There was a lot of stuff that killed a Sire before it got off.
So, I was playing, like, 2 Sire in the main deck.
Okay.
And that card seemed to be really good because nobody was playing War Leader's Helix yet.
Right.
So it was really good. And I had a couple feature matches. I was already...
Plus, it's another point off Lava Crew.
Right. It's multiple.
It's the brainstorm justification, right? Like, you can put anything in your deck as long as it's multicolor.
Brainstorm it away.
If you can brainstorm it away, it's fine. If it triggers Lava Crew, how bad could it really be?
It's at least deal 1 damage.
Yeah.
So, that was it was a great tournament. I started out 7-0.
Yes.
All ready to go, except at this point, Standard Opens had gotten so large that it was, I believe, a 9-round event. So 7-0 wasn't good enough yet.
Right.
So I still need to play 2 more rounds. So I play against Reanimator and die, which was really weird considering Reanimator was like my best matchup.
Yeah, I was going to say, that should be a good matchup.
Yeah, but we mulliganed a lot, so that was fine.
Yeah, and sometimes Reanimator just does its thing.
Right. With the lingering souls into like Reanimator.
Tusks and chaining them, and
And then round 9, I play against Boggles. We can't draw, and he like boggles me.
Yeah, Boggles seems like not so good of a matchup.
Yeah. I won against Boggles, I think, once, maybe twice, but the one time I did was insane because he suited up his Geist Saint-Traft with Spectral Flight.
Yeah.
He was all ready to go and kill me. I'm like, alright, untap, play my Storm Breath Dragon, pair it with my Nightshade Peddler, stack the triggers. It was quite a fun way to win. But
that is going deep.
yeah, for sure.
That's a moto thing. That's a like.
Oh wait, that's how that works.
Yeah. That's you need to visualize how the triggers go on the stack to realize you can do that. Yeah.
But that was really also a cool way to make Nightshade Peddler not such a bad card. Is done.
Right.
Okay. Just kill all the flyers.
I like it.
Yep. But that was the deck. It was a really sweet deck. And the sideboard got a little more boring with like Slaughter Games.
Normal
Deathrite Shaman did like double duty when you're playing Rouse Eric.
What card?
Like really cool. Deathrite Shaman.
Okay.
Because you can untap your Deathrite Shaman with your Rouse. An interaction that I'm sure they had made in when they were thinking about the cards, like, oh, this will be really good when people play them in the same deck. I'm sure it'll be great. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm sure they put a lot of time into the development of Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah.
They really nailed that one.
I'm sure they tested it a lot.
Yeah.
Made sure that everything was,
Yeah, and I've told this on stream before, but and I'm not sure if you're aware, but Deathrite Shaman, the reason it has its second toughness is because they realized that Lingering Souls was probably a mistake. Like, they're like, Lingering Souls is probably too good, and we don't want, like, our Deathrite to be caught up in all of the Electrickeries and Staticasters that are going to be played to deal with the... So we'll just give it a second toughness.
That'll be good.
Yeah, so then, like, the boon of all, or the bane, I should say, of like, legacy goblin players, they, like, play their lackey, and then this mana elf that they can't beat also just blocks their whole team. Yeah. So, yeah, they really nailed it on the Deathrite Shaman front.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, another tool for Reanimator for your deck. I don't know. I mean, Lobber Crew really seems like the glue of this deck. It's like the curve filler that plays its offense and defense, right?
Right.
And special teams. It does it all.
Great. And it hits Planeswalkers. It's really good.
Slices, dices, lobs.
Lobs. What was really sweet. I played an open in Worcester. It was like 2 weeks later, and I was like, all right, yeah, here I go, time to lose another winning in. And I made one of the changes was really cool, was I added a Cavern of Souls, and I was playing Rurik Thar, which, again, a guy that never really picked up steam.
Right.
So sees a little legacy play here or there in, like, Elves decks.
Yep.
Because sometimes you just can't beat a 6/6 that deals you 6 if you try to do anything to it.
Correct. It's like the biggest pyrostatic pillar of all time.
Yeah. And so he's a warrior. So I was like, all right, Cavern on warrior. And then
everybody knows cowards can't block warriors.
Right.
Okay.
But what's it called? Lobber Crew is also a warrior. So you can force it through with the counter. It's perfect.
Because the problem with Lobber Crew is that it was always getting countered.
Exactly.
Excellent. All right. So you were, before this sidetrack, you were telling me about playing right before your American Idol adventure.
Right. Oh, yes. So let's go all the way back.
I will always, you have to know this about me, Adam. I love sidetracks, but I'll always bring it back.
That's good.
I'm able to keep track of all the branching.
Because let's just keep going on the sidetrack.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Me too. That's why I have to be cognizant of what I'm interrupting to go on random trains of thought. So about a month ago, before, and you're going to Hollywood or LA or wherever. So
I'm like, I gotta play something fun.
Yes, this is a going away party of sorts.
What I choose to play is 5-color Planeswalkers.
Okay.
Which is fine, right?
Yeah.
But we're playing 4 Narset the Enlightened one.
All right, this is where I look at. This is the 3/2 hexproof.
Yes. First strike.
And it like Mind's Desires for spells.
pretty
when
much.
it attacks.
Now, a lot of people, when they see it, they say spells, like you did. But it's actually non-creature spells. So you can put planeswalkers in off of it.
Non-creature cards exile, and you look at 4. Okay. Okay, I remember part of the reason that I know what this card, that I was close to knowing what this card does, because even though I draft this format a lot, it's a mythic that's fringe playable. But
Right.
at the limited GP that just happened, we're recording on a Monday, and GP Cleveland just finished. At one point, Huey attacked with a Narset and revealed Burn Away, Right into Being, and another spell that he couldn't even cast because he just was too rich.
Right.
So all right. So you have Narset as a way to be okay, I'll attack with Narset, play a removal spell and a Planeswalker.
Right. Except we're just gonna not play any removal spells.
the Planeswalkers are the removal spells.
Right. Because we're playing 4 Ugin.
Oh goodness.
So
this is summoning trap Emrakul.
yes.
I didn't realize we were summoning trapping Emrakul. I thought we were like Super Friends, Elspeth, Gideon, Jace style planeswalkers.
Not good enough.
All right.
So your main planeswalkers are Kiora. You're playing 4 Kiora.
Which ramp to the Narset, which ramp to the Ugins.
Right. Then you have a couple of Xenagos, which also ramp.
Yes.
But mainly a way to just kind of have early blockers, early pressure.
Attack opposing planeswalkers.
Right,
yeah.
right. And then you have 4 Ugin. And then you have your utility planeswalker in a one of Ajani, Mentor of Heroes.
The phrase utility planeswalker is pretty good.
Yes. Ajani, Mentor of Heroes, which is the 5 mana. I know there's been a lot of Ajanis. So this is the 5 mana.
This is the green-white one.
And you can put 3 counters on the guy, or search your top 4 for a creature or planeswalker and put it in your hand.
Yes. And then
So
eventually gain 100 life.
Right. It's good when you're trying to protect one creature while it keeps attacking.
Right.
Or finding a planeswalker that you need.
Right.
So that's why he's a utility planeswalker.
Sure.
And the other one, which was really fun, is Liliana Vess. Now, Liliana Vess can help you find what you need to find. But if you have a Narset in play already, she becomes your best friend in the whole world because she'll allow you to put whatever non-creature spell you want on top of your deck. And then you cast it for free.
Oh no, the combos!
Yes. Now you might say, oh sweet, we get to put an Ugin on top of our deck. No. You're not thinking hard enough because they just printed a Time Walk. It costs 11 mana. But it still reads take another turn. So you put that on top of your deck, and you get the other 3 that you exile for free.
Right, you free roll those, and then the next turn get to neg 2 the Lily again.
Yeah.
That one can get the Ugin.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, they thought about this with Mind's Desire. Mind's Desire shuffles. You have to shuffle every time.
Exactly.
They didn't think about that with
a big
the
mistake.
Narset. Yeah. Well, vamping is not really a thing anymore so much, so they probably thought this one was safe.
Yeah.
Idiots. Fools. The lot of them.
Safe.
All right, I'm on board. So what's the core of this? Are we Caryatid Courser-ing, or are we?
Yeah. Well, we're not Coursering.
Okay, Caryatid and Mystic King.
We have 4 Caryatid, 4 Rattleclaw Mystic.
Mystic, I like it. Mystic is it either goes 2 to 4 or 3 to 6.
Right.
Yeah.
And you definitely want to go 3 to 6 when you're playing Narset.
Right. But depending on the texture of your hand, if you're turn 2 or turn 3ing the 4 mana planeswalker, Kiora, that's really efficient. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's really sweet. You have your 8 mana accelerants. You pretty much can't keep a hand without a mana accelerant. Because your deck is insanely clunky.
Yes, very expensive.
And you have a lot of tap lands since you're playing a 5-color deck.
Right.
So those are really important. And you have, I think it's 3 Frontier Siege, which are just insane when you're trying to ramp out crazy.
Yeah, something about Frontier Siege that a lot of people miss is when you have it in mana mode, the turn you play it, it makes mana in your second main.
Right. You can still play like a mana dork.
So you can you can play your Sylvan Caryatid second main off the siege, and then the next turn get the 2 mana in both phases.
Yeah. So it's definitely a really good card in the deck.
Yeah.
I had it proxied for a while, and I just wrote cons in big letters. Never use the other mode.
Yeah.
So you don't want to misspeak, so you just write cons on it.
Now, Frontier Siege, how are the cons? Okay, Dragons I get. Dragons on Frontier Siege is probably the siege mode that makes the most sense. Because it's dragons, and it's literally your dragons fight, right?
Yeah.
Cons is you make a bunch of mana.
I guess it's like fortifying your defenses or something. You're like
maybe, but you're on the bivouac. You're in case you don't know, a bivouac is an actual human English word that basically means a campsite, like a temporary campsite. So how are you making mana at your temporary campsite?
I guess you're like collecting firewood. Maybe.
Also, it's a camp. Like if your campsite is under siege, why don't you just go somewhere else?
Yeah, that's true.
Just pick up your tents and go.
Yeah, but what are you gonna do on your siege if, like, you can't be like 4 mana and mulligan your hand or something?
Yeah, 4 mana, Seer Powder.
Yeah.
Outpost Siege has the same flavor problem. Now that I'm thinking about it, right? It's an outpost.
Yeah.
You're a nomadic people. You are the gypsy, the Romani type of clan of peoples of culture.
And if your clan is based around speed, wouldn't you be able to just like run away?
Yeah, up and leave. If a dragon is, I'm off it.
It's true.
Right.
That's true.
That's just I'm working through some personal issues that I've been bottling inside. So the Frontier Siege to ramp all the planeswalkers, and then you probably have like 27 land.
No, I think it's like 25.
Okay. What are the other? We're missing a few slots.
Hold on.
Just
I will grab
some card drawer. You have the deck on you?
I have. Oh, did I? I think I left it at my friend's house last night. But
no.
Yeah, it was your main. You didn't really have a lot of card draw. It was like Kiora's your main like card draw, I guess.
Yeah, and Narset.
Yeah. And what's cool about Kiora when you have Narset, you don't really care about her dealing 3 damage, so you can protect her by plussing on your own.
Oh, okay. Narset. The old ghostly possession, my own guy, make an infinite wall, except aggressive.
Right.
All right.
So you can get your free triggers that way.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's some Hornet's Nests in that deck as well. Because
Hornet's Nest is basically the Lobber crew of today.
Right.
I would argue.
Yes. It's just the best thing if you want to make sure your planeswalkers don't get attacked. You just Hornet's Nest. A lot of people don't know how to attack into a Hornet's Nest.
Yeah, it's somewhat reminiscent of like the first time that planeswalkers were printed, where people were like, just take the options have now expanded, right? It's sort of the inverse of that, of like, well, my options are now greatly limited. What's my way out of this?
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of people just not attacking? They're like, don't want to poke the nest.
Yeah, it's like the number one. That's what makes the card good. It's maybe not in a perfect world. It's not the greatest card.
Right. It's not good against AI opponents.
Right.
But the human aspect of it.
When people are like, oh, like I give him a 1/1 death touch, he's gonna kill my guy. Like they don't realize, like, I'm taking 5 from the rest of your creatures. This turn.
And I make 2 tokens that you can then kill or attack through past or whatever. Yeah. The human aspect of the Hornet's Nest is a big game.
For sure.
All right. So how did the FNM go with this crazy build?
Really well, actually. Once you get an Ugin in play, there's not a lot people can do about it.
I would agree with that statement in isolation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's cool about Narset is since you 6 mana, you're like at a weird point in the curve where not a lot
you can make the Ugin wipe the board and your Narset sticks around.
Yeah.
That's something that happens in Limited sometimes, is like some of the big delve creatures, are like cheap to play,
Right.
and then like work well with, you're curving your shambling attendants into your Ugin and your 3/5 sticks around to protect it.
And what's cool with Narset's trigger, it's you can cast them until end of the turn. So you can play your Ugin first and then minus, and then like play a Kiora afterwards.
Oh yes, interesting. It's not villainous wealth that you have to cast them all.
Yeah,
right
it's not
then.
part of the ability where you just cast them all at once.
Right, that's interesting.
So it's pretty sweet. I don't know. It was a lot of fun. Again, like I said, these weird brews are usually a lot of fun to play.
Oh, for sure. This deck sounds super fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's similar to like a Lotus Cobra-esque.
Yes, exactly. I was gonna say
called Magical Christmas Land.
Yeah, I've
like
cast
that.
my fair share of like turn 3 summoning traps, and like I played a deck that had summoning traps and polymorphs at a pro tour. So I'm a big fan of these, sort of spin the wheel type of strategy. Again, it's
Sure.
high risk, high reward. You're 5 colors and you're playing a bunch of 6 to 8 drops.
Yeah.
But you have like all your cards are beyond impactful and powerful.
And nothing beats playing a free Interpret the Signs that you reveal Temporal Trespass and draw 11 cards.
Yeah, when you have the Trespass, Ugin, Narset even is like a big hit. Yeah, you got some big ones.
Yeah,
I'm on board.
It's been really sweet. I don't know. But like I said, I haven't really been to any opens or anything since I've been back, so I'm excited to see how they fare against the field and what the field even looks like. A lot of people don't really know what they're doing yet.
Yeah, we covered that at the top. The meta is just so wide open. It was already wide open, and then we have 160 new cards or 250 new cards or whatever. I'm gonna pull up the schedule. I want to see because I'm curious. Do you know what's happening in the Northeast coming up?
I'm not exactly sure. A lot of people are talking about going to the Invitational in Richmond.
Yeah, that's in a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
So that should be cool. I'm not sure if I'm going yet, depending on how my schedule looks, but
Okay.
seems like a lot of fun.
There's Providence, April 18th and 19th.
That's
And Worcester at the end of May. So not much coming up for you, but hopefully you can make it out to one of these or some IQs or something.
Yeah, for sure.
It's I don't know, it's interesting because you basically were forced to take a break from the game.
Yeah.
But I think the breaks are really good. For some people, it's just you need to be constantly engaged. But I know myself, like anytime that I step away from the game for a while and come back, I'll have all new ideas and like you don't have the weight of all the past tournaments weighing on you.
Right.
You can kind of come back with a fresh mind.
Yeah, I can definitely see where that's coming from.
Plus, like your experience, I was, life-changing, right? Like that's a once-in-a-lifetime thing to make a deep run and be on television and have thousands of people voting for you. That's kind of a big deal.
It was definitely a lot of fun. I definitely wouldn't change it. It was really sweet, and the people were the best part. The other contestants that I met. It was a blast.
Did you get to hang out with them a lot? Was it a lot of?
Yeah. I mean, you were pretty much with them all day.
Right. I mean, okay. So the way that the show is structured, you're basically you're like given like coaching, right? Like
Yeah. You have like vocal coaches,
uh-huh.
Which you can talk to them about your arrangement, how you're going to sing your song, and that kind of thing. And they're not really there to like teach you how to sing. At that point, hopefully, you had already known how to sing.
Right.
But they're more there to help you arrange your stuff.
Right. Put together a good performance.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're not doing that, it's pretty much on you to practice and that kind of thing. So you have a lot of downtime where you can interact with everybody else. And
okay, cool.
Yeah.
And everybody got along. It wasn't like
yeah. I mean, when you think about like reality TV, which
exactly, it wasn't a road rules
reality
type of
television show, pretty much.
Yeah.
You think that it's going to be a little more tense than it is. but everybody's great friends. I still talk to them over there.
Awesome.
And yeah, it's weird because you're not really competing against each other. At the end of the day, you are, but it's more like you're putting your best, you out there.
Right. Well, there's not a direct
point.
winner. There's not a zero sum score of
Right.
like playing against. It's about the audience and the judges to a certain degree. So yeah, it's not like a game of Magic where you're sitting across from the guy that you're looking in the eye and one of you gets match points and the other doesn't. Like it's very much a more a wider type of competition.
Yeah.
So it's good that there's a community. I mean, it's also like you're all young people with similar goals in similar places in your life, so it makes sense. Yeah, I mean that's all I really wanted to ask about that, because that's such a foreign world to me. It's good to hear that it's like a good experience, because I don't know, for somebody like me that is just like the only communities I'm involved in are like the super nerdy, like closed off communities. But American Idol is very much in the public eye, and you absolutely killed it. I mean, everybody loved you, and you made a deep run, and that's really, really awesome. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. And it's cool that like once you're in, the Magic community is actually like really nice.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people, when they think about these like nerdy kind of spaces, it's all like huddled up in their basement and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a great community, and
the best.
Yeah, everybody. It's really weird. You sit against your opponent, like you said, and only one of you wins. But right at the beginning, would you like to do high roll? And
yeah. Where are you from?
So, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, some of I should say all of my best friends are people that, at one point I was pit against in a zero-sum situation with, no small amount of money and prestige on the line. And, the community's great. And it was also really cool to see them come out in support of you. Because
a lot of people reached out on Twitter, social media stuff.
I was First of all, it's awesome that you embraced it. Because I know it would have been very easy for you to delete the Magic the Gathering part of your Twitter profile and gone about it. But no, you didn't do that, and I think that that's really awesome of you. So, from the community, thank you for representing us. There's a little bit of an unknown story when David Williams made the final table of the World Series of Poker main event, where he ended up getting second. In his, profiles and interviews and stuff, he called Wizards and was like, should I talk about Magic? And they, at midnight, got together and made a decision, no, don't talk about Magic, we don't want to be tied with poker. And the people at Wizards that made that decision said it's one of the biggest regrets, because imagine the exposure that they could have gotten. And, now Dave, every other interview, Dave's talking about Magic, and, all these other Magic players are doing great in poker and whatever, but it's such a missed opportunity, and I'm so glad that you didn't miss that opportunity to represent the community. And I'm glad that the community responded too, because, I made some tweets and stuff just thinking hey, maybe some people, and it got retweeted, and people were messaging me, asking me how you were doing. I was like, I don't even know the guy. You can just Google it or tweet at him. I don't know. It's I voted for him 20 times. Can I do it again? It was really cool, and it was really.
Yo, I'm excited to go to an open and stuff like that and meet these people that were
for sure.
I always like when people are like, hey man, aren't you that guy from American Idol? I voted for you and all that, and I'm just like, thanks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's pretty crazy. So yeah,
very cool. I'm out. Do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, just thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a great time of pulling out my stuff and be like, here you go.
Yeah.
Talking about my wacky brews over here, but Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. This is a lot of fun for me, and I'm actually thinking we should do this like somewhat regularly. Like, hit me up next time you're going to a big event. We'll or maybe after the event we'll talk about it, or we'll do something because
sure.
this was a lot of fun, and I I mostly wanted to do something with you because of this American Idol stuff, but now that I've gotten to know you from the magic side, I want to create more with you.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so thanks a lot for coming on, and this will be posted in a few days, and I'll edit it, and yeah, thanks.
Awesome, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, take it easy.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Bye.
Hey y'all, hope you enjoyed listening to that half as much as I enjoyed recording it. Once again, apologies to Adam and everybody for taking my sweet time getting it out there, but I want to take some time here at the end to talk about what I'm doing and solicit some feedback. As I've said, I've been working on a bunch of stuff, and that'll all be developing soon, but right now I just want to talk about this podcast. I want to kind of make this a regular thing, something fun and conversational. Hopefully it has some good info, but yeah, is that something you're interested in? Should I keep doing these? I think I'm going to do, a few before I actually make any final decisions, but what did you think? What do you think I could do better? What do you think I should do with this? Who else do you want to see on? Do you want to hear more from Adam, etc.? And also, what should I call it? I don't really know. I have some, magic pun possibilities. The Podcastigate, Dodecapodcast, Podcaster Mage, or maybe Blink, the podcast. Not bad, right? Also open to other suggestions, so leave a comment below, or you can tweet at me at AJ Sacher. Let me know what you think. And yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time.